The Knicks need to close this one out. Game 5 was a disaster. The Knicks gave up 22 three-pointers on 49 attempts, which is just under 45%. That's not just bad defense. That's a wide-open gym. Derek White dropped 34 points with 7 threes, and Jaylen Brown added 26 with 12 assists, and this was all without Jason Tatum. It was like the Knicks thought the Celtics would fold. They didn't. They torched them. Offensively, the Knicks looked like a traffic jam. Isolations, hero ball, zero rhythm. Jalen Brunson scored 22, but fouled out early, which meant the offense had no direction. Then there's OG and Bridges, 5 for 26 combined. That's 19% shooting from two players who are supposed to be two-way anchors. Not gonna cut it. The third quarter, ugly. The Celtics outscored the Knicks by 34 in the second half and hit 8 more threes in that quarter alone. They also got to the line 18 times in the third. That's not just a breakdown. That's a full-on collapse. The Knicks defense completely fell apart when it mattered most. Even the bench couldn't help. Luke Kornet, a role player, nearly had a triple-double with 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 blocks. Josh Hart had 24 and tried to drag the bench unit, but he was the only one doing anything. Everyone else vanished. Now let's talk Game 6, because there's no tomorrow if they let this go to Game 7 in Boston. Madison Square Garden has not been kind to the Knicks lately. They're 1-3 at home in these playoffs. The road record's been 5-1, which is wild, but they've got to flip the home switch now. That building will be loud, but it won't mean anything if they come out flat again. The defense needs to actually look alive. No more open looks. No more lazy rotations. They've got to shut down the perimeter and make Boston work for every shot. Bridges even said they weren't communicating or showing effort. That's a problem. Fix it, or it's over. Brunson's got to stay on the floor. The minute he fouled out, the whole thing unraveled. He needs to lead the team like he's done all season and stay aggressive without getting into foul trouble. Without him, this offense has no pulse. OG and Bridges can't repeat that nightmare shooting night. 19% is basically charity for the Celtics. If those two don't bring some energy and knock down shots, this thing goes back to Boston and probably ends there. And let's not forget, they haven't closed a playoff series at home since 1999. That's 25 years. This is the time. They're up 3-2. It's right there. Close it. No excuses, no collapse, just win. But to win it all, some guys are gonna need to step up, and that starts with Cat. Karl Anthony Towns cannot just be good. He has to be great every single night. If the Knicks won a championship this year, this isn't about flashes of scoring or highlight passes. It's about sustained impact across all 4 quarters, in every series, against every matchup. The numbers don't lie, and they're demanding more. Let's start with the offense, because that's where Towns is supposed to separate himself. That 63.1% true shooting mark, that's elite. He's not just efficient, he's efficient everywhere. He's hitting 42% from deep on nearly 5 attempts a game. Defenses have to step out to contest him, and that opens up the lane for Jalen Brunson to attack, for Bridges to cut, for the offense to move like it's supposed to. When Towns is shooting like that, it changes the geometry of the floor, but he can't drift. In games where he settles for jumpers and avoids contact, the Knicks stall. They cannot afford that now. He needs to attack mismatches more aggressively. In the Detroit series, when matched against wings like Tobias Harris, his post usage dropped. That's not the move. In those moments, he's got to get on the block and bully his way to the rim. The post-up efficiency is already there. He's putting up 1.07 points per possession in post-up actions. That's better than most guards get in pick and rolls. And when big men guard him, set the screen, roll hard, or pop and force the switch. He averages over 27 screens per game against bigs. That's when the Knicks thrive. His transition numbers tell another story. When he gets early touches, shots within 14 seconds of the shot clock, he's lethal. Just look at Game 3 versus Detroit. 6 of his 10 field goals came in transition. That's where he gets easy buckets, and that's where he catches defenders unprepared. If the Knicks are serious about winning it all, they have to run more through him early in the shot clock and let him impose his size and speed. Then there's the pick and roll. The Towns-Brunson duo is among the best in the entire league, posting 107.3 points per 100 possessions. That's 99th percentile territory. The combination of Brunson's pace and footwork and Towns' range forces defenders into tough choices every time. And when Towns rolls, he's putting up 1.32 points per possession as the roll man. That's elite. Thibodeau has to lean into that action and make it the core of the half-court offense. Towns' playmaking is underrated. He's averaging 3.1 assists per game, but it's not just the raw number. The assist rate jumps when he's on the floor. 7.3% of team assists are created by his touches. He draws doubles, he sees cutters, and his high-low passing is clean. That's a big reason the Knicks are 7th in cutting frequency. It all starts with the gravity that Towns brings, but where he absolutely has to level up is in crunch time. Right now, Brunson's usage in the clutch is 35.1%. Towns, only 18.9%. That cannot happen. When the Knicks need a bucket late, defenses will key on Brunson. If Towns is not demanding the ball, then he's just a decoy. In high-pressure games, you don't win titles with passengers. Towns has to want the ball, and he has to do something with it when he gets it. Now to the defense. And yes, this is where things start getting messy. The Knicks dropped from 9th to 14th in defensive rating this season, and Towns is a major part of that. He's averaging 0.7 blocks per game, which is low for a big man who spends that much time in the paint. But it's not just the blocks. It's the help rotations, the contests, the communication. Against elite wings like Jaylen Brown and White, Towns has to be 2 steps ahead. If he's late on the rotation, if he hesitates on the weak side, the Knicks give up easy points. The rebounding is another sticking point. 12.8 rebounds per game looks nice, and 2.9 of those are offensive, but it doesn't tell the whole story. The Knicks are getting out-rebounded on the offensive glass by over 4 rebounds per game in the playoffs. That means extra possessions for opponents. That means second chance threes. That means momentum killers. Towns has to box out like it matters every time. If he just jumps without getting a body on guys like Luke Cornett or Al Horford, the ball goes the other way. He also needs to be smarter with switches. When teams put wings on him defensively, guys like Drew Holiday or Harris, he can't settle for deep threes unless he's hitting them at a high clip. In the first 2 games against Detroit, he went 1 for 5 from deep in those matchups. That's not good enough. He's got to punish those mismatches in the post, get to the line, or at least force double teams. Settling is how leads disappear. Let's talk rotations. The Knicks' best 5-man unit, Brunson, McBride, Bridges, OG, and Towns, has a plus 43.7 net rating in 160 possessions. That's a killer lineup. That needs to be the closing lineup. Josh Hart is a great energy guy, but if opposing teams are hiding centers on him, it takes all the pressure off the defense. Thibodeau has to ride the lineups that space the floor and force switches, and that starts with Towns being the biggest offensive weapon in those combinations. Cat's 3-point volume is also something that needs watching. He's averaging 3.6 attempts per game against wings. That drops significantly from the 5.3 attempts he takes when guarded by bigs. But against Boston, who switches everything and forces isolation, he has to get that number up to at least 6 attempts per game, and he has to hit them at 40% or better. That's how you drag rim protectors away from the paint and open driving lanes for Brunson and Bridges. The injury stuff? Sure, his left hand injury impacted him in Game 4. He went 5 for 18 and looked tentative. But that's the nature of this stage. If he's on the floor, he's got to play through it and finish through contact. Cornett had 7 blocks in Game 5. Towns has to challenge that and go up strong. Verticality beats hesitation every time. So let's set the bar. For the Knicks to actually win the title, not just make noise, not just put up a fight, but to win it, Towns has to give them at least 25 points per game. He needs to stay above 60% true shooting. He has to take 4 or more threes per game and hit at least 40%. That keeps the floor open and the Celtics defense spread thin. He's got to bring in at least 12 rebounds a game, and 3 of those better be offensive, especially when the other team is loading up the glass. He's also got to show up in the pick and roll game. That offensive rating with Brunson has to stay above 120 in their shared minutes, and defensively, Towns has to contest better inside 6 feet. Right now, opponents are shooting over 54% in those situations. That needs to drop. If he can hold them under 50%, that alone might swing a playoff game. And the thing is, they've been great this whole season. And you can make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Personally, I've been using Factor for the past few weeks, and honestly, it's changed everything. No more stressing over what to cook or cleaning up after. Just heat, eat, and go. Especially while watching the playoffs, it makes everything so easy. The shredded chicken taco bowl, fire. The garlic herb salmon, better than anything I've ever made at home. Instead of being stuck in the kitchen, I've been spending more time outside and hitting the gym. And Factor fits right into that routine. And like I said, with the playoffs on too, you don't gotta stress about missing the game. With 45 weekly options, I can switch it up constantly. Whether I'm aiming for high protein or just keeping it light, they've got it all. Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, even veggie meals. Plus, they've got snacks and desserts that don't ruin your goals. I've been loving their smoothies and those peanut butter energy bites. I'm hooked. So why not savor more this summer? Let Factor take care of the meals so you can enjoy more of everything else. Get started at factormeals.com/modernjam50off and use code ModernJam50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code ModernJam50off at factormeals.com/modernjam50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Thank you, Factor. Bottom line, Towns is the swing piece. The offense flows better with him. The spacing improves. The shot chart looks cleaner. But if he fades late or gives up extra possessions or disappears when defenses get physical, then it all falls apart. He's got to be aggressive, disciplined, and efficient for 4 straight series, for every fourth quarter, in every building. Because if Towns plays to his full potential, the Knicks have a shot. If he doesn't, they're going home. But then after that, we can talk about Bridges. If the Knicks are going to get it done this year, then Bridges has to crank every dial to the max, especially on the number side. First up is his shooting. And man, it's got to get better. Right now, he's sitting at just under 30% from 3 in the playoffs. That's a full 6 points lower than his regular season clip. That's not just a slump, that's a problem. To fix it, he's got to stop pulling from above the break. He only hit a miserable 15% from there during the season, and that number is dragging down the offense like cinder blocks on a sinking boat. But check this, he's hitting 50% from the corner. That's not just good, it's elite. He's got to live there, camp out, make it his home. In the mid-range, he's been almost absurd from there, shooting nearly 69%. That's fantastic, but he's got to cut down the volume. It's just not worth it to live on 2s when the game is about 3s and layups. He needs to pick his spots, hit those clean looks, and then move on. No hero ball. Then there's the playmaking. He's dropped from almost 4 assists a game in the regular season to under 3 now. That dip might not sound huge, but for a secondary ball handler, it matters. When Brunson's off the floor, things stall, and Bridges is supposed to be the guy who keeps the machine humming. He needs to move the ball quicker, find the cutters, and stop over-dribbling. Otherwise, those bench units are just wasting possessions. Speaking of scoring, consistency is the name of the game. Bridges has already had 5 playoff games with single-digit scoring. That's not just cold, it's glacier level. The Knicks are undefeated when he scores at least 20, which tells you everything you need to know. 18 a night on at least 48% shooting has to be the minimum. Not a hope, not a ceiling, the minimum. Otherwise, defenses will collapse on Brunson and clog everything. Now, onto the defense. He's supposed to be one of their premier perimeter defenders, and while he held opponents to 46% shooting in the regular season, which is solid, he had a complete collapse in Game 5 against Boston. Minus 25? That's the kind of stat that haunts people. The Celtics hunted him through screens, and he didn't fight hard enough. If he can't slide through picks cleaner, or at least switch with more force, they'll keep targeting him. He's got to lean into those skinny techniques, thread the needle between screens, and get back to being disruptive. But there are flashes of what he can be. Go back to the Pistons series. He had Cade Cunningham shooting just 6 of 19 when matched up with him. That's clamps. That's the level they need every night, especially if he's going to be checking guys like White or Jaylen Brown. No breaks, no lapses, just relentless pressure. He's also shown some serious jump in help defense. He's averaging 2 steals a game in the playoffs, double what he did during the season. That's huge, and he's got to keep doing it, especially with Karl Anthony Towns in drop coverage. Bridges has to rotate early and often. If he's late, it's a layup line. If he's sharp, they can actually protect the paint without giving up open threes. Now let's talk lineups. When Bridges is on the floor without Brunson, the Knicks have a net rating of -10. That's brutal. Those are the minutes that swing games, and he's got to take over. Game 6 against Detroit was a rare glimpse of what he can do. 25 points on 11 of 16 shooting. That's the kind of punch he has to bring when the stars sit. No hiding, no coasting. Then there's the lineup that actually works. When he's out there with OG and Hart, the Knicks have a net rating of +12. That's ridiculous. That trio locks people up, makes smart decisions, and actually creates a rhythm. That combo has to get more minutes. It just works. Thibodeau's got to ride it, and Bridges needs to be the glue that keeps it together. Clutch time, it's been rough. The Knicks are bottom 10 in late game offense, and Bridges has to step up. He's shooting over 62% inside the arc, but he keeps settling for contested threes when the game's on the line. That's not gonna cut it. He needs to drive those closeouts, use that length, and finish strong. And if he's gonna take a 3, make it a corner shot. He's hit half of those all year. That's money. And the Knicks need every penny in the fourth quarter. Rebounding's been a quiet strength. He's up to 5 boards a night in the playoffs, which is nearly 2 more than his regular season average. Those extra possessions matter. Think about that tip in during Game 6 against the Pistons. Those plays shift momentum. He's got to crash the glass, especially on the offensive end. Keep the play alive, reset the clock, and make defenders work longer. Now let's talk about what winning wings actually do in the playoffs. The blueprint is clear. Guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul Pierce didn't just get buckets. They hit benchmarks. 20 points a night, 50% effective field goal rate, and at least 2 stocks, that's steals plus blocks. Bridges is capable of that. He's shown the defensive chops, and when he's aggressive, the scoring follows. The Knicks paid a massive price to get him. 5 first-round picks. That kind of trade doesn't come with patience. It comes with expectations. If he's not giving them at least 18 to 22 points per game, shooting 40% from deep, and locking down the other team's best scorer, then it's not enough. Period. You do not give up 5 first-rounders for a role player. You do it for a difference maker. The targets are clear. Bridges has to shoot at least 38% from 3. And again, that means corner looks, not those hopeless pull-ups from 30 feet. He's got to keep elite wings under 45% shooting. If White or Brown light him up, the series is over. He needs to stay around 18 points per game, take smart shots, and keep the offense flowing. He has to win those bench minutes. If the Knicks are getting cooked when Brunson rests, that's on him. In the clutch, he has to be better. No more fading into the background. Hit the shots. Grab the boards. Play smart. If he can hit all those numbers, 18 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 50% effective shooting, and a net rating of +5. They've actually got a shot. Miss those marks, and everything falls apart. That's the margin. That's how thin the line is. And Bridges is right in the middle of it. And the same goes for OG. If OG's going to be the difference between a deep playoff run and another sad New York meltdown, his defense has to be nuclear level. When he's guarding guys one-on-one, opponents are only hitting 37.8% of their shots. That's not just good. That's shut the window, lock the door. You are not coming in level defense. But he can't just stop at locking down isolation. He's got to rip up passing lanes and poke the ball loose at least twice a game. He's sitting at 1.7 steals per game right now, so the jump to 2 is doable, but not optional. Against teams like Boston and Milwaukee, those deflections could swing entire quarters. And when he's on the court, the Knicks' defensive rating drops to 107.8, which puts them in the top 5 across the league. When he's not, it crashes down to 115.3, which is hanging out with the worst teams on that end. That's a difference of over 7 points. That alone tells you the kind of vacuum his presence creates. He's got to keep that up for 4 straight playoff rounds. No pressure. Also, the guy needs to switch across 4 positions seamlessly. That's guards, wings, and those tweener forwards who think they're smarter than they are. He can't just guard them, he's got to erase them, especially in switch-heavy matchups with the Celtics or Bucks. Then there's the shooting. He's hovering at 39.5% from deep in a Knicks jersey, and that's on solid volume. But it's not enough just to shoot well. He has to jack up at least 6 threes a game and keep that number north of 38%. They need him bombing away to keep the lane open for the slashers. The corner 3 is especially big. He's got to hit at least 45% from there. Those corner looks, those are oxygen in playoff basketball. If he becomes a reliable catch and shoot threat, hovering over 40% like he is now at 40.6, defenders are going to be glued to him. And when that happens, help defense starts to collapse, and guys like Brunson can go to work in isolation with space. Offensively, he can't fade into the background. 14.5 points per game with over 62% true shooting is clean, but it has to stay clean. If he dips, even slightly, the entire Knicks secondary scoring falls apart. He's got to give them that 12 to 15 points every single night. That means attacking weak side closeouts, cutting off the ball with timing, and knowing when to slip in unnoticed. Right now, his backdoor cuts are converting at 1.3 points per possession, which is absurdly efficient, but he's only logging 1.5 of those a game. He needs to keep that rhythm or crank it up. And playmaking can't be a blank space either. He's sitting at 1.6 assists per game, but they're going to need him above 2 to keep things from getting stale. The Knicks offense can't just be one guy dribbling into a contested shot. If OG can make that extra pass without coughing it up, it changes everything. His turnover rate needs to stay under 8%. No wasted possessions. Now let's talk boards. Rebounding's been a quiet part of his game, but it's absolutely crucial, especially in small ball lineups. He's pulling in 3.8 defensive rebounds per game, and he's got to crack 4. That's the bare minimum. Every rebound he grabs keeps the opponent from getting a second chance. If OG lets those second chance points pile up, the Knicks are toast. And then there's durability. If he's not playing 38 minutes or more per game in the playoffs, it's bad news. He's at 35.6 right now, which is close, but not close enough. He's missed over 20 games a year back in Toronto, and the Knicks can't afford that now. No random injuries, no load management. His legs need to be there every night. Let's go deep on the advanced stuff. His estimated plus-minus is sitting at plus 4.1. That's ahead of the curve, but it's got to stay above plus 3.5 at the very least. That number basically captures overall value, and he needs to keep delivering it, especially on the defensive end. His LeBron metric needs to be top 20 among forwards. That means he's one of the elite when it comes to both value and efficiency. And then there's defensive raptor. He needs to be hitting plus 6 on that scale. That's rarefied air. That's defensive player of the year type performance. If he drops off even a little, the whole defensive scheme starts to crack. Matchups are going to be brutal. Against Boston, OG has to keep White and Brown under 45% shooting in isolation. If they start lighting it up, that series could be done fast. He's going to have to live in their jerseys for 7 games. Milwaukee, different animal. He's got to wall off Giannis and not just stand there like traffic. He needs to force at least 3 turnovers a game against him. That's 3 wasted trips from one of the most dominant scorers in the league. Not easy, but completely necessary. The stats are clear. If OG's not firing on all of these cylinders, the Knicks' whole thing falls apart. He's got to guard every position like his life depends on it. Shoot threes like a machine, score efficiently, rebound like a big, move the ball without mistakes, and never come off the floor. There's no backup plan. There's no sub who can replicate this. He's the guy. The current win-loss record with him in the lineup is 20-6. That's a win percentage of .769. That's not a fluke. That's impact in real time. If he holds that level, they've got a real shot at the finals, but only if every single one of these boxes stays checked. Overall though, the New York Knicks are standing on the edge of something they haven't tasted in over 2 decades. Control, real control, the kind where a team doesn't just hope for a win, but demands it, takes it, owns it. Game 5 was a mess, a defensive disaster, an offensive breakdown. But this series isn't lost yet. What matters now is Game 6. What matters now is whether they're ready to treat it like the elimination game it really is. Because if this thing goes back to Boston, it may as well be over. The Knicks can't afford another meltdown. The blueprint for winning is sitting right in front of them. It's carved into every game they've won this postseason. But to follow it, every key player has to elevate. This team isn't built to coast. They're built to grind, to pressure, to wear opponents down. And it starts with Karl-Anthony Towns. Towns is the swing piece. When he's playing to his full potential, the Knicks offense hums. The spacing clears up, the cutting lanes open, the mid-range pull-ups fall into rhythm. But when he's tentative, when he floats on the perimeter without purpose, it gums everything up. This isn't the time for selective engagement. This is the time for dominance. He has to be great in every quarter, not just spurts, not just the first half. From the opening tip until the final horn, he has to demand the ball. Against smaller defenders, he can't settle for outside shots. He needs to take them inside, post up, and force either a double team or a mismatch collapse. When bigs are on him, he needs to use his quickness to create separation. Every possession he passes up is a possession that could swing the game. But it's not just scoring. Towns has to facilitate. His passing has been underrated all season. When he's finding cutters and hitting shooters in rhythm, the entire offense starts to flow. He has to recognize when the double comes, pivot out, and swing the ball to the open man. It's not flashy, but it's vital. The Knicks don't need highlight reels. They need control. Defensively, Towns has work to do. This isn't new. His rotations have to be crisp. His help defense has to be timely. No more late steps, no more soft contests. When he's anchoring the paint, he has to act like it's his house and no one gets in without paying the price. That kind of presence changes games, not just through blocks or rebounds, but through intimidation, positioning, awareness. Rebounding is non-negotiable. The Knicks have been giving up too many second chance opportunities. That can't continue. Towns has to box out hard. He can't just rely on athleticism. He needs to use his body, create space, and secure those boards. Every possession matters, and giving up freebies is a recipe for disaster. Clutch time? That's where he needs to stop fading. Too many times he's been quiet in the fourth. That has to change. He needs to call for the ball, take the shot, draw the foul. Not because he's the only option, but because that's what stars do. They rise, they deliver. And then there's Bridges. He's the X factor. When Bridges plays with confidence, the Knicks look like contenders. When he hesitates, when he overthinks his shot, it throws everything off. He's got to get back to doing what he does best. Defending hard, running the floor, spotting up from the corners. His shooting slump can't define this postseason. He has to shoot through it, but more importantly, he has to take the right shots. Above the break threes haven't worked. The corners have. He needs to get to those spots and let it fly. The volume has to go up, but it has to be smart volume. No more forced step backs. No more late clock heaves. Get the look, take the look. Defensively, he has to be a menace. That's what the Knicks traded for. Someone who can stay with the best wings in the league and make their lives miserable. He has to be physical without fouling, smart without gambling. He's capable of guarding anyone 1 through 4. He has to show it. Every game, every possession. The help defense needs to stay sharp too. Bridges has good instincts, but he can't fall asleep off ball. He has to rotate, cover gaps, and recover quickly. Boston has too many shooters to give up easy looks. He has to be everywhere, on a string. His playmaking also matters. The Knicks can't just run through Brunson. They need Bridges to be a secondary creator, not fancy, just effective. Move the ball, drive and kick, hit the cutter, keep the machine running. Rebounding can't be an afterthought either. When Bridges crashes the glass, it starts transition breaks and adds extra possessions. He's not the biggest guy, but he's long, athletic, and aggressive. That's enough. He needs to use it. Then there's OG, maybe the most important piece of all. The Knicks' defense starts with him. When he's on the floor, things click. Off the floor, it's a scramble. His ability to switch, to contain, to neutralize scores, it's rare. He needs to keep it going. One-on-one defense is his calling card, but his off-ball work is just as important. He needs to jump passing lanes, close out on shooters, and rotate with precision. No lazy steps. No miscommunications. He's the guy everyone else follows. If he locks in, the rest follow suit. On offense, his shooting is essential. The Knicks need spacing. OG has to hit those corner threes. But more than that, he has to be willing to shoot. No hesitations. No pump fakes into nothing. Catch, shoot, convert. His cutting is another weapon. He times them well, and they're almost always productive. But they have to come more frequently. He can't disappear into the corner for stretches. He has to stay active, move without the ball, create pressure. Durability is a big concern too. OG has had injury issues in the past, and the Knicks can't afford that now. He needs to be available, effective, and energized. This is the time to push through. Every game missed could be the one that breaks the momentum. And finally, all 3 of these guys have to communicate. That's been missing. You can see it in the broken switches, the blown rotations, the late help. That has to stop. They're veterans. They know what's at stake. Talking on D, setting the tone, leading by example. That's the standard. It all adds up to one thing: urgency. The Knicks don't have time to feel this out. They don't have the luxury of a Game 7 cushion. They need to come out in Game 6 and play like it's their season, because it is. This team has come too far to fold now. They've got the pieces, the talent, the coaching, but all of that means nothing if they don't bring the effort, the focus, the execution. This is the moment. This is the test. Karl Anthony Towns has to play like a star. Bridges has to play like a difference maker. OG has to play like a stopper. And the rest of the roster has to follow their lead. No excuses, no what ifs, no next time. Just win. Right here, right now. Close it out.